and because it just doesn't always feel good. But today I have like 4,000 things I want to say all at one time. And so it's probably even clunkier than it normally is, but I'm just going to put it out there because this is a little bit unique, and this is very, the reason I'm having Dr. Lynn on is very specific reasons, and I'm super excited about it, and we're going to get into it. But first, let's talk about why we do the show in the first place. Of course, we're streaming live on KUHS. Henry's amazing at all that he does. Super helpful with putting this show together. Taste Life Radio is about truth. It's really what it comes down to. We do our best we have fun, we talk about health and nutrition and things that are going on in the world, and we talk about dogs and dog nutrition and raw feeding, and we just want to have people on who are amazing and good and real and getting the truth out there. And so what this show really is about is empowerment. It's kind of, as we do the show more and more, it really it's becoming more and more clear to me that I want to empower people to take care of themselves, to own their health, to understand that if you have something going on and you're not being listened to find somebody who's going to listen to you. If somebody tells you, if you have gone to multiple clinicians, multiple practitioners, and they're telling you, it's all in your head, or let's just put you on an antidepressant, or let's just put you on pain meds instead of finding out what the root cause is. This is about saying, I need somebody to listen to me, I need to be heard, and finding those people who are going to hear you. And so this is a huge part of what we do in practice is we want to listen, and we want to help people understand their body, because everybody's unique. You who are listening, however many 100,000 of you who are listening, you are different than every other person that's listening and every other person in this world. So, empowering you to understand your body, and then being as truthful as we can with the science that we have today, right? Because science changes every day, all the time, and we want to bring the best to you with what we know, and then tomorrow when it changes, we'll say, okay, today is just a little bit different than it was yesterday. So I think I want to start first with what I'm grateful for, and then we're going to jump in and we're going to let Lynn talk a little bit about what she does, and we're really going to get into the meat of why we're here together, because I'm so excited I can't even stand it. Well, and that brings me, I guess that's what I'm grateful for. And I say this really for every show. I'm always grateful for the people who are here with me, because the people that I bring on are the people that I love and I appreciate, and I may send clients to, or I just know who they are as people, and they have so much to offer. And so Lynn and I have, and Dr. Sam, her husband, have developed I think an amazing friendship, level of respect, a partnership, which is why we're here. And it's just been really fun, and it really just within, I think, 6 months or whatever it's been, has been a really personal growth experience, I would say probably for all of us.
Absolutely.
It's been an interesting time, and we can kind of blame COVID for it, really, but it's been really amazing in what it's brought to us. And so I'm grateful for where we are today, and for growth, and for the partnership and relationship that we've created, and with Dr. Sam. He's not here, obviously. And not state the obvious. Wow. And so I think that's it. I'm just really excited about where we are about to head.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what are you grateful for, Dr. Lynn?
So I have to echo what you're saying in terms of the excitement and the personal growth that we've had during these last months. And if, the background story behind how we started to work together and with this program that we're going to be talking about today is really, it started from everything being shut down in Colorado. And we closed our practice down for a few weeks too. And at that moment, though, it was just like, instead of being frozen, and I think that that's where COVID is, opportunities where, it's an opportunity for us to ask ourselves, okay, well, do I take time for I have more time for my family, I have more time to regroup, I have more time to reset. And I think in our minds it was more like, we have an opportunity to manifest something that's been on our minds.
Yeah.
And it was literally a conversation of, hey, I've been talking to my coach, and I'm like, I've been thinking about this. Hey, it kind of aligns, let's try it. And it really took us to a place where we never thought it would have, like, we've learned so much in the process, built a friendship, because before, I think when we started, it was like, you know, meeting each other and learning more about each other's practices. So I'm grateful for the friendship, I'm grateful for the experience, and the accountability is a big part in this, because as you listeners out there may know, like, starting something is never easy, and to overcome those hurdles, which is really coming from the mind of, like, can you really do this?
So true.
Can you really, you know, you think you think you can do this? You have something good to share? And she's like, I thought I did.
I know. It's true. It's that little angel devil thing. You can do it. No, you can't. You can do it. No, you can't. It's too hard. It's too hard.
Yeah.
You can't put yourself out there, but you can, and you know what you're doing, but you don't know what you're doing. And there are so many people out there who are gonna just, you know, try to beat you down.
There's so many famous people out there who's already doing it, or whatever, and it's like, or all these different things. But what's been really cool is, with you, Nikki, I'm grateful that you're so laser focused that it's an inspiration. I'm like, I gotta get my part of my language, my shit together. It's like, and at the same time, when we come together, it's like, oh, I didn't know that, or the way you see things and I see things. It's really cool to mesh together, and you know, grateful that it's like that recognition that you don't have to do it by yourself.
It's true. And so I want to veer off just a little bit, because I think it's a really interesting thing that you said, and you and I have talked about this a little bit, as well as with Dr. Sam.
Yeah.
But when she says that I'm laser focused, this is the cool thing, and this is you know, part of this, you know, it's a very well-rounded relationship, I think. But when we met, it was, okay, let's experience each other's services, and let's learn what we do, and let's get really detailed, and we have, and you know, now we, you know, co-manage clients and patients and that kind of thing, and so it's really fun. But I'm going to tell you that because of that, I knew going in and seeing Dr. Lynn and Dr. Sam that I needed help with my focus. I needed help to understand what was going on with my brain, how to make it laser focused, how to optimize, how to excel, because I think I'm pretty good, but I was in the middle of learning, you know, and as I, you know, if you've watched this show, I talk about the two companies who sponsor the show, and the products that I like the most are the products that help me to focus, and I think that they're amazing products. And so, but going deeper and learning the imbalances, like literally in my brain and then within my body, which are things that, you know, you can't really fix with nutrition. Nutrition is a piece of it, but the holistic approach for all of us is really what makes the most sense.
Absolutely.
Which goes back to why we've created this course, is because it is a very holistic, well-rounded course. But back to me. It is amazing, because I watch myself now, and they'll ask me over the months, you know, how are you feeling? How's your focus? I'm like, it's pretty good. I think it's getting better. But then as of the last probably month has been, like you said, it's been a laser focus. It's been, this is getting done. I have to get this done. And literally, this is not good, but it is not long term. It's, you know, 6 in the morning till 10 at night is kind of what things have been going. And it's not just, you know, just working on the stuff that we're working on. You know, I have clients, and I have a business, and I have a family, and all of these things. But it's the ability to keep going, and knowing that it will end, and still taking care of myself, still going to the gym, still meditating, and doing my journaling, gratitude, and that kind of thing. But knowing it's knowing where this is going, and just being super excited about it, and then having the focus. So, with that said, I think what we want to do probably is kind of introduce. I think the goal is we want to introduce the course. I also have a little bit of a caveat to it, but then we want to talk about things that are inside of the course and why it's so important to us that we get this out to the world, because we both have our views of health, and I think that they're very congruent. But I believe that the goal of this, again, as I said early on, it's empowerment. It's you learning who you are as an individual, and then moving through that process and learning you. Because the thing that I think we both hate the most, probably not the most, but a lot, is when somebody comes out with a book or a course or a webinar or whatever it is and says, this is it, this is the thing that everybody should do, and it's the best thing for everybody in the world. And that's never the case. There's never 100% in something like this. So, I don't mean to just keep talking, but I mean a little bit. Because I want to talk about, for those of you who have not met Dr. Lynn, Dr. Lynn and Dr. Sam have a show on this station, which I think is super cool. So if you've not seen them, you need to. But I want to get into who you are, what you do, why you are who you are, and all of those things. But first, real quick, sorry, I want and I want to, because what's going to happen is Henry's going to put up what is essentially our landing page, and it just shows, that we're starting this this little challenge essentially. But what has happened is there's a link that's broken. So I want to put it up there so you see it and so you can look for it if it's something that you're interested in. And hopefully today, tomorrow, it could be Monday, we actually have the link that works, and we're going to repost it and get it out there. And so anybody who's interested, you can just take a look at it and get all the details there. But I at least want to be able to put it up, but know that there's no place to go with it right now.
Absolutely. And yeah. I want to add to that, though. So Nikki mentioned, if you're interested, right? I think if you answer these questions, are you listening to the show? Yes. You're listening to the show, you follow the show because you want to take, you want to take control of your health. You want to be able to live better. You know that you deserve more so that everything else in your life goes well. And so if you're listening to the show already, there's a sense of, I want to do something more, I want to learn more, then innately you're drawn to wanting to take responsibility about changing something about your health, changing something about your life. And I think this is really what the program is about. It's about self-empowerment is yes, and it's that willing to say, I'm wanting to step up because I'm really tired of being where I'm at or how I'm feeling and how I'm functioning every day. And I want to be able to have more, when we talk about empowerment, if we're going to talk about the different tools, but in a little bit, I think that's really, an opportunity for us to explore this a little bit more. And so I was super excited about launching this.
Yeah. It'll be amazing. Okay, so let's talk about who you are and what you do. For those who don't know, and what got you here to where you are. Sure. And let's just start there so everybody can, kind of understand why we decided to collaborate. And we can't, Sam is always here in spirit, Dr. Sam is. Yes, so he is a part of this as well. But
yeah, absolutely.
He has a practice too.
Yeah, a little bit about myself. Well, first of all, Nikki mentioned that we do have the show here, and it comes back down to the gratitude part. Our show on the station at KUHS would not have happened had we not actually met Nikki and seeing what's possible, can we do it too, and see how we can push ourselves out there and do more and find voice in ourselves. And that's really, another gift to that in our building our blooming friendship. And so, my husband and I, Dr. Sam and I, are both neurologically based chiropractors, and we have a practice called Wild and Precious Optimal Living. And why we decided to name our practice that is from one of my favorite poems called Summer Days by Mary Oliver. And in that last line of her poem, she asks, tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Now, I discovered this poem in my early 20s in a time where I really felt like I was lost. I was bulimic, so I would literally drive from McDonald's to Taco Bell to Burger King in one night, and I was...
You just gave me chills because I had no idea.
Yeah. I'm sharing it with the public. You are with the world. But you know what? Wow. It's to be said because it was there's something that I hated myself to the core in my 20s. I was depressed. I was struggling with school. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something with health, but it didn't match, I guess, my own intuition of what I wanted. But I struggled with a lot of disconnect, and so bulimia led to some self-discovery because I realized I needed to do something different about myself. and very fortunate that I got to work in different health practices and different roles, and realized that I really love the holistic field, and having a different approach, having a different way of addressing the person, not just from symptomatic, but what was the underlying causes that led to that symptom? What is your potential? What is your mindset behind it? What is your patterns in living, and what are your choices? And so I wanted more, and that's how I started. I moved from teaching yoga for a long time to going to chiropractic school, and then here I am. And
playing with the brain.
Playing with the brain. It's always the brain. It comes back down to the brain. I'm constantly studying.
Yeah.
And so in our office, I think, you know, Sam, like, we like to joke around. Like, I am like the mother, kind of like the nurturer. I love talking about the emotional component to the healing process, and I have different techniques to do that. But together combined, my husband has a great influence in terms of understanding the physical function of the brain, the really what are all the parts coming together. And so we're bringing in the science geeky and the hippie together.
It's a beautiful relationship.
And so, yeah, and it's a lot of fun. I think we balance each other out really, really well. And so we have a little boy who's 3 years old, and he's very much an inspiration for everything that we do as well too, and why we study what we study. And we're highly influenced by Malilo method, candidates of that in terms of looking at brain balancing. And like Nikki had mentioned, you know, our cognitive health, our behavioral, our learning health, all of that comes back down to the function of the brain first and foremost, and then everything else that fills in, from nutrition to all the different lifestyle changes that we make as well too. So I hope that paints a picture.
Yeah. No, I think I love that, because it's that important, that global look at the body, right? So you have to have brain health, but you also have to have gut health that not feeds literally, but the gut health that takes care of the brain that takes care of the gut, and then all of that goes out as well. If you have inflammation, it's going to affect your brain, it's going to affect your gut, it's going to affect everything else.
Yeah.
You're not moving properly, if you're moving too much.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that's here in Colorado, and other places as well, but I'm here, is we have the extreme athletes, which I am not. I like to work out, and I like to, have, some muscles, but I like to do other things too. Yeah. And so, but we do have those extreme athletes who push themselves so hard, the body's not built to be pushed that hard constantly. And so that in and of itself can be inflammatory. And so two things that I want to say. There is a balance, but I also hate the phrase everything in moderation. I think that's a terrible, awful phrase, because
it's vague.
It's vague.
Yeah.
It is relative. It's different for everybody. And to say everything in moderation, what's moderate alcohol consumption for one person to another? What is moderate sugar consumption from one person to another? When really sugar should never be moderate. Sugar should almost always be avoided, right? There's going to be a little bit here and there, and a little bit of sweet here and there. Oh, speaking of sweets.
I'm terrible. I'm terribly sweet.
I have to say it. Because I don't know the place, and we're just going to do an ad for whatever.
It's called Third Culture.
Okay. So yesterday, I'm working, and so she rings my doorbell. I work out of my home. And she says, I just brought you some sweets. I was like, what? I like sweets. Very careful with my sugar consumption. But, so anyway, they're like donuts, which is my favorite thing in the world are donuts. I haven't had a donut in years. I don't even know how many years. Apple fritter kind of is the top donut, and then any other donut beyond that. And I literally don't remember the last time I had a donut. So she brought me, so it's called mochi, which is rice-based. And it's a Japanese dessert,
it's
right?
Like they use Japanese-inspired dessert to make donuts with this mochi flour. And so this consistency you can describe.
amazing. So it's not as light as a donut. It's denser, which I like. I like chewy, gooey, dense, right?
Yeah.
It took everything that I had not to eat it all yesterday. There's still some in the fridge, and I did share with Lowry.
Good job.
Anyway, so I couldn't help myself because she was so sweet of her to bring it over, and I was like, this is going to be a problem.
Like, we eat sweet stuff.
Yes. I mean, it was delicious. Delicious. So, back to sugar and staying away from it. We all are going to have our times, but it's a matter of just being aware. Sugar is a very, very small part of my life. And as I grow, and it's not always been that way, as I grow and age and learn my body, it becomes less and less and less. And I think we learn, and I'm kind of digging into this a little bit because it is a part of the course. Understanding sugar, understanding our body, understanding what sugar does and how it reacts in the body is really important in understanding how our body operates and how inflammatory sugar can be. But also finding that balance, not finding the moderation, but finding that balance. A little bit of sugar is not going to be the worst thing in the world. But, what I've also noticed about myself is as I grow and learn about myself, that sweet tooth gets less and less. But that lack of a sweet tooth only comes with biochemical balance, right? Because if we're imbalanced and we have these sweet cravings, that's what it's from. Having sweet cravings like that are so intense that a lot of us do have, it's a biochemical imbalance, and that's something that we need to work on. So we're trying to create awareness about your body as an individual, awareness about what your body needs, and awareness about how to start to move in the direction to allow you to become your optimal self. Whether you're dealing with something big or you're not, right? It's about allowing you to become your optimal self, and that's really our goal with this course.
Absolutely. And if I can add to that, so
yeah.
Nikki, you're saying it's a biochemical imbalance, and I wholeheartedly agree. And also part of that, and this is where it's so fun in us working together because we have different perspectives that we layer on each other. So part of it is, yes, there's a biochemical imbalance, and how is that there to begin with too? So then it comes back to brain health, which is if there's any imbalances to the brain, or poor integration, or weakness or deficits, then it's going to be in that fight-flight state. And then in that fight-flight state, that's where our bodies are going to be out of balance, and that's where you have the biochemical imbalances in terms of how brain is communicating to everything else, or even how gut is producing all the different proteins or enzymes that it needs, right? The other aspect behind it is too also mind-body in terms of our personal, what are some, when we crave for foods, when we reach for foods that give us that sense of pleasure immediately, such as, candy or soda pop. However, we also in the back of our minds know that it's not necessarily the healthiest choices. What's the disconnect there? What are we in a fight-flight state or survival mode about that triggers us to want to reach for something, to just satiate something that satiate the hole or the gap that we have in our lives. And so I think that's the fun part behind, and we keep wanting to get into the program because
I know.
It's just like, it's so exciting. And it's understanding that it is the biochemical, it is the imbalance, the physical function of the brain. And it's also very much mind-body, and we cannot separate it, right? It's all encompassing. And that's where it's so powerful in what we're doing together.
Yeah, it's really true. What we find in medicine or in the allopathic world, so whether it's dietetics, not all dietitians are built this way these days, but dietetics or allopathic medicine, which is our conventional medicine, it's very compartmentalized, right? So it's very much, okay, I'm a neurologist, or I'm a endocrinologist, or I'm a cardiologist, take your pick. And there's that one focus, which is great. We have to have that. We have to have people who know everything there absolutely is to know about the heart and the cardiovascular system, or about the brain, but that's an or. We also, though, have to have, and where they shine is in acute medicine. in those acute situations, heart attack, stroke, diabetes, those kinds of things, where you had these acute situations that are happening that must be addressed immediately. Where we come in, and where the more holistic, natural, functional, put your word on it, right, comes in, is we do look at the body as a whole, because it is not compartmentalized. It works together. Every cell in the body is going to be affected by another cell somewhere else. Every organ system is going to be affected by another organ system. So because we do one thing here, something down here downstream will be affected, good or bad. And so we have to do our best. We don't know everything, but we have to do our best to look at what we do up here and try to understand what then is going to happen down here. And so we need to just take that into consideration, is that we are a whole person. We are a whole being. We're affected internally, but we're also affected externally, right? So you and I have an energy together, and we're this close together, and then everything, my feelings, my thoughts have an energetic wave. I'm not very good at this piece of it, but it's true. I mean, this is all fact. It's not woo-woo. It's fact that we have an energy field, and we affect each other. And so knowing that about the body, and then also going outside of the body, I think my hope is that it starts to change a lot of the way that we view ourselves in our world, and how we present ourselves, and how we focus, and the things that we do to ourselves and to others. Yeah.
So tying it in, absolutely, I think, so what you're talking about, it sounds like it's like frequency, energy, right? Resonance. When you listen to music that you really love, it's like, it's just, everything just falls into place. It's resonant to what you're feeling, or you just feel everything's aligned. And when pain happens, or when fear happens, or when we're in a fight-flight mode, or we injure ourselves, it's a different resonance, and it can create, and that can stay there if it's not healed properly. I'm not great about talking about energy in that standpoint either. However, research has found that, like cymatics, things fall into rhythm over time, and if you're functioning at a lower frequency, a lower vibration, then your energy, then your lifestyle around it, so survival mode, fear, or shame, or guilt, or all these different things are going to affect your own personal choices and how you interpret the relationships in the world, your view, and how the world is, like, the opportunities to you are going to be more narrow. And so when you proactively take healthier choices, that's also going to shift your frequency, because of everything, the positive changes and the positive mindset that you have to have in order to do all these different things. And it's an inside out and outside in approach.
It is.
From that standpoint.
If I don't take a break now, then I'm going to forget.
Yeah.
So I want to build on that, though, because I like that. But we have a couple of amazing sponsors. The first one is Rightful. This is a great company who started out as a pain management company. So it's a natural products. It's a turmeric product, so it does dampen pain, particularly chronic pain. So it's got a number. I think it's eight herbs in it. I should know this by now, but eight different herbs in it. It's a liquid. It tastes good. It's in coconut oil, coconut milk. And there's a morning and an evening product. So it helps with, this is what I've noticed, which is why I love it so much, helps with focus. It does help with sleep. But the goal is it helps with pain. Now, I always really feel the need to say this, is we don't want to take it just to cover up pain, right? So it's just like, it's a different world from ibuprofen, but ibuprofen covers it up. If you're dealing with chronic pain that can't be fixed, like my husband has an ankle that's fused, he deals with pain. That's not something that we can fix with nutrition or with anything else, really. So that's a great product for him for chronic pain. We always want to understand the underlying cause of our pain. But taking something like this that actually works and is beneficial and is going to help you deal with pain, and then start to find the problem, if there is a problem, it's a beautiful product. And they're selling it, they have it in pain clinics. And, you know, that, in my mind, when, you know, that's that allopathic going to holistic or vice versa, when that, you know, it's coming together. And that's what we want to see, is we want to see the allopathic and the holistic or the functional, however you want to look at it, come together. And that's what's happening here, because it's a product that works so well. So Rightful, you can go to rightful.com, put in TLN, as in Taste Life Nutrition, TLN20, and get your discount. It's great stuff. So give them a try. Okay, so I want to move on. I kind of want to continue. One of the things that I have to work on myself, and I have been working on, when it comes to addressing frequency, putting the right energy out there, but we have to work on ourselves in order to put the good out there, is negative self-talk.
Right.
So, and I think especially as women, I believe that that's true. I don't have a lot of science to back that up, but I just think that women tend to have this, that was stupid, or I can't believe I did that, or oh, you're so dumb. Because I would do that a lot. Always in my head is like, you were so dumb, I can't believe you did that.
Yeah. Oh.
I know. And it's also an awareness when you do it, because I know, you know, some of us, it just is a habit. Yeah. It's a habit, but you say it enough, you do it enough, you start to believe it.
Right.
And then maybe people start to see you that way. If you believe it, people maybe probably start to see you that way. And that's not what we want in life.
Or maybe we may not necessarily say, like, obviously when I look at Nikki, I don't.
You're so dumb.
Since you put that there. I'm sure Laurie does it. I'm sure Sam does it. And many people, like our producer Henry, does it. No one's ever thought you're dumb. But that's really interesting, is when you think that way, then that's how you see the lens of how perhaps even, like, I could be sitting here and Nikki's probably thinking, she's thinking I'm dumb, oh my goodness. But it's just like how we see the world all of a sudden is projected from the relationship that we have with ourselves internally. And so then it comes back down to unconscious behaviors that we don't necessarily, or unconscious lifestyle choices that we do. Like, we feel dissatisfied, then we go home and, okay, I'm just going to have whatever, I'm going to have a pop, or like, or I'm not going to exercise today, or I don't have time to do this. And like, it's that continuous choices, what you choose. Even when you, I guess the idea is just that even when you don't put in time for yourself, you're making a choice to not put in time for yourself. So then,
which makes you feel worse.
Makes you feel worse.
It's that spiral.
Yeah, it's that spiral, and it can be a very unconscious act. Yeah. And when you're consciously making choices, it is asking you to step outside your comfort zone to do something very different. However, it's also rewiring the nerves in your brain, rewiring yourself. It's to it's what we call neuroplasticity. It's to build new neural pathways in order for you to build new habits, and that's how new habits can occur. But you know, and it can shift your own personal mindset of like, oh, I achieved this today, great, I'm actually not dumb. You know, like Nikki putting these, going through, we use Kajabi and these unfamiliar platforms that allow us to do these different things that we're not tech savvy, and yet we do things.
I'm not that good with
Kajabi. So the little positive changes that you're consciously making helps to affirm actually the belief system that we've instilled in ourselves for so long that's no longer true, and it helps to shift that around. And that's really important to recognize.
Yeah, totally agree. So I want to kind of, if you're just joining or if you're just starting to listen, give a little bit of background of why we're here and what we're talking about. This is essentially the landing page that you'll see in this. It's the first part of it. It's just a challenge. It's the first part of this course that we've created. This is the freebie, but this is what you'll see. But what has happened is there is a link that's broken. There's something that's not functioning properly. I was hoping to have the link for you today, in case you're interested, just kind of want to go in and check it out and see what it's all about. But my hope is that you see this We will, in the feed, we'll post it again when the link is ready. We're planning to start this challenge on the 21st, as it says. So it's coming up here in just a couple of weeks. And we'll continue to have challenges like this. We're so stoked and excited about this and what it's going to bring, and then what we have that we want to give and that we want to share. Again, we want to bring truth and empowerment, and that's really what this is about, to the best of our ability. So we're super excited about that. I want to talk a little bit about things in life. It's habits, whether it's food. We talked about a little bit. Food. The way we think, the movement, things like that. And in this course, there are places where we're taking food out, but we're doing this for you to understand what is best for you. Again, this really is for you to learn you. It's not for you to learn anybody else. It's not for you to say this is what everybody else in the world should do. This is for you to walk through the program with us, with others who are, there's a Facebook group obviously, they're walking through it, and it's your own discovery. That's what we want, is your own discovery. And so when we start to take things out, and I'm thinking particularly about gluten and dairy, which you can expect that if you know me at all. But those are really important things, and why we take them out. And the reason for taking things like that out is because those are two of the most allergy, sensitivity causing foods out there. And so many people, they hear gluten is a fad, or gluten-free is a fad. Mm-hmm. And is it really affecting me? And in my practice, it affects 99.5% of my clients. Mm-hmm. They just don't know it yet. Mm-hmm. Or we take it out and they're like, whoa, wow. And it not only is it a physical, but it's mental and emotional. Mm-hmm. So taking out gluten, and if you're having any kind of cognitive dysfunction, mm-hmm. It could be due to gluten, brain fog, memory lapses. Then you get into pain and all of these other things that it can create, fatigue. But it's understanding. We want to dig in and help you understand why we're doing these things and why it's important to take them out, and how it can affect the brain.
Yeah, absolutely. And we, for the bigger program that we're really building up towards, we do get to dig into, you get to learn more about the relationship between brain-gut and gut-brain health. And, if you're in a fight-flight state, just simply said, it's going to create wear and tear or it's going to break down your gut lining in general, mm-hmm. too, and just right. all these different things. And unfortunately, our food is not produced in a way that is honoring of where we're at nowadays in modern day, the way mm-hmm. mass production and
I love the way you say that. It's not honoring. I'm like, oh, I love that. It's so good.
Thank you. And so food science is amazing. However, there's a limit to it, mm-hmm. and I think behind what is being produced and what we think is healthy versus what our grandparents, great-grandparents mm-hmm. think is healthy, and what sources they got from, and how, in rhythm with nature, and where we're at today. And
right.
So we get to dive a little bit deeper in that, and it helps us, I think, as practitioners, to have conversation and learn to really put it out there and help you guys mm-hmm. understand this world that we are in. That you otherwise wouldn't have access to in a normal nutrition class in school.
Oh man, yeah, the things we learn in school. It is a different world out there, yeah. And but it comes with, just like we said, science changes. Yeah. Now there are those who are still stuck in the science from 20, 30, 50 years ago. And that's a problem. But those are the things that we want to dig into. We want to talk about the science, and we want to talk about, what you're dealing with in your life and your own stresses, and have you think about those things and what we can do to move beyond some of those things. We want to talk about how what you're doing for you, whether it's with this course or anything else, what you do for you affects your family, good or bad, but the goal is for it to be good. It's a positive impact on your family, which creates a positive impact on the community, which creates a positive impact on our future. And so we do dig into things like epigenetics. And one of the things that is so mind-blowing to me, so just real quickly, if you haven't heard the term epigenetics, we have our genome, which is, eye color, hair color, things that don't typically change. But then we have these locations on genes that do have the ability to change. They turn on and off like a light switch. And it is due to lifestyle factors. If you've been to my website, it's we do have control over our genetic destiny. That's exactly what I mean, is our lifestyle dictates our future in large part, right? In large part. So what the data is showing is that we can change our genes 7 generations ahead. Now, that can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing, right? And so, for one, it's an eye-opener, but I think it's also it shows us the responsibility that we have, the accountability that we have for ourselves, for our family, for our future, and it's a lot to take on. But then you also say, holy smokes, this is the control that I have. This is what I can do to better myself, better my kids, my future kids, better my community, and better the next however many 7 generations is. It's a long time.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And, we tying it back to current day situation, right? Parents, you're getting ready to go, like your kids are in school, there's a lot of remote learning, there's hybrids, there's we have we're not going to get into the politics, but we have the election coming up, and there's still COVID guidelines that everybody, whether you're a business owner or you're in corporate, you're working through, and you're trying to navigate while you're just trying to stay focused on the things that matter to you most. It is really stressful, and oftentimes if our environment, what we focus on, or if there's a lot of unknowns in the external or community area, it's you have to take control. This is more than ever now, taking control, because our kids are witnessing how we are living through life. How are we responding to a time where it really calls for us to step up rather than be in fear mode? It's going to impact how they navigate through any challenges that may show up in the future. And honestly, pandemic hit everybody, and no one ever thought that 2020 would be like this, right? We didn't have the 2020 foresight.
Who thought that 2020 would be 2020?
Yeah, right. So,
man,
but this is more time than ever for us to be able to have an opportunity to stay empowered, to step up, so that future generations can really look to us to say, like, this was a challenging time and this is how they navigated through it, because it's going to impact them, impact our kids, for generations, like Nikki is saying too, in terms of how they navigate through resilience, and so it's a lot of fun too. I think it's a lot of fun. It's not about, oh my gosh, this is a chore, right? It's about empowering yourself, because perhaps there's something that you're struggling with relationship-wise, or you're struggling with in terms of job loss or job changes. But the idea is keep training your body by taking positive actions. Keep training your mind by taking positive actions. And it comes back down to us being able to offer that, I think.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I got to take another quick break. I'm the worst at taking breaks.
I'll just take a nap while you just.
So another company that we know and love is Zymogen. Zymogen is an amazing company. Their products are they have much broader product base, I guess, than Rightful. Rightful's a new company, and they are expanding their product line, whereas Zymogen's been around a long time, and they are data driven. They put only the best products out. You cannot get their products on Amazon or eBay or anything like that. You have to get them through practitioners, because if you get them off of Amazon, and I will harp on this probably till the day I die, but if you get these products through Amazon and there's data, me, I like the data, but there's data that shows, they have purchased their products back. They put them in a lab, looked at what the product was, and it was either expired or not the same product. And so if I am suggesting or giving protocol to any of my clients, and I say, oh yeah, just go to Amazon, which I appreciate Amazon for what they are. I use them more than I should. Like, we got another Amazon box.
It's like a present.
Every time I remember. But we want to make sure that the product is what it says it is. Because if I were to say, go to Amazon or eBay or wherever else and get this product and it causes harm, or it doesn't do what I say that it's going to do because it doesn't work, or because it's sawdust, the products have come back as sawdust in the little capsules in a wrapped box, right, or a wrapped bottle. I mean, it's insane. And so people are like, oh, well, it's still wood. Think of the chemicals that manufacturers, whoever, put on wood in order for it to stand the test of time, right? These are nasty chemicals that could potentially be in these products. This is not okay. And so Zymogen's not the only company that I use for my supplements, but they are a big part of my protocols because I trust them, because they do a great job and they are the best at what they do. And I use companies that I trust, and so there are a few companies that I use, but I appreciate Zymogen for what they are. And then these are the two products. One of these days I'm going to put new products up. I need to, but these are the two products that I love that really help me to focus and help me to really move through my day. So I take them every day.
That's
these
awesome.
two, yeah, and then the Rightful. And there are a couple other ones. I've got my little drink that I do every morning.
There's a lot. We use Zymogen at home too, and we really love how clean the products are.
Yeah.
Really, and then and honestly, there's we've worked with other colleagues, other functional medicine practitioners, chiropractors, and Zymogen is on their shelves
Always
for a good reason. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, we could probably go on for another 3 hours, but we're kind of starting to move into the end of our time a little bit. Is there anything that you think that we should cover when it comes to, anything that we haven't covered yet?
Let's talk about what's really in the program.
Okay.
And we can, because we're like, there's so many things to it. People are probably like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So, we can talk about the 5-day. The 5-day is awesome because you get a teaser. It's kind of like a little sample at Costco.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a really great teaser because it really helps you just see what the depth of what we'll be going into for that 5 days. And you can even do the 5-day challenge within that day. It's not just looking at the content, right? And then it transitions. And what you're going to be getting is actually a full series of taking you not only from sugar detox, which we had talked about, but and it also takes you into more of a self-discovery elimination process, which allows us to identify, like gluten or dairy, the food sensitivities that we have. Now, there's a lot of food behind it. That's like our spine, our backbone behind the frame of our program. The other aspects of self-discovery comes in with movement, comes in with meditation, comes in with facts that you should we really all need to know about in this day and age in terms of the food or our mind, our health, and everything as well too.
Yeah, and I think it's a matter of understanding that. So obviously, food is a huge part of this. It's a huge part of our lives. Period. Right?
Yeah.
Food is a language. Food is what tells our body what to do. So with that, understanding that it affects our cognitive function, it affects our everyday function, it affects our memory, our brain health, our gut health, our immune system, right?
Supercharge your immune system.
Supercharge your immune system. So the challenge is supercharge your immune system, and then we move into what we call the EPIC program.
It's epic.
It is epic. Much more epic than we thought it was.
Epic.
So knowing that what our goal was to give you as much of us, what we know, what we can give, and make it as well-rounded and as individualized as we possibly can, and still give it to the public, right? Mm-hmm. So there are going to be some generalities. There are going to be some of you who move through it, and it won't be perfect for you because it can't address underlying conditions. It can't address infection. It can't address, well, it could address leaky gut. You know, I mean, there are lots of things that it can address and it can help you understand. But there are some things that you might just need to dig a little deeper into. But that's okay, because you start to learn who you are as an individual, why you're there, how to start to deal. So whether it's, that self-talk, is it good or is it bad? Are you meditating or are you not? Are you prayerful or are you not? Are you eating slowly or are you not? Are you taking the right supplements? Or, there's so much in it, and it's essentially a day-by-day process.
Essentially what we've done is we've taken the most important aspects of what we've seen in our own personal practices that's important to help optimize your health, and we've seen across the board with our clients, and we've pushed it into this program. And like Nikki is saying, if obviously it's going to help you show up where I need deeper work in this aspect, and this is where it's an opportunity for you. But we've created an amazing baseline, and when we talk about baseline, it's not like below, it's like highline, I like to say it, but it's like we're raising our standards of our baseline, and we're creating a strong foundation for our overall health, so that even as you may be having more serious health challenges or emotional challenges, you already are on the right track for better health, and this is only going to help you magnify everything else that you're doing.
We need to record that.
It's recorded.
It's really good. And we also we have the ability for you to track it throughout too. And so we want you to know and to track where you started, and then how things are going and where you're going. Right. So it allows you to understand what you need to pivot, if you need to pivot, what you're seeing, and then where you need to gather more information.
Right.
So to say the least, we're stoked.
We're stoked. Obviously.
We're excited about it. I think it's going to be, I hope that for some, it will be a life-changing experience.
Yeah. It will be a life-changing experience. There's going to be, it's big or small, it's going to be, everything that you do positive every day accumulates, and
Cool. Good. Okay, so I think we're at the point where you should tell people where to find you.
Okay, so you can definitely find us on Facebook with our business page, which is at Wild Precious Optimal Living. Our full practice is Wild and Precious Optimal Living. And you can also find us on Instagram. We are always doing really fun wellness tips, movement tips, mindset tips, and other things that you can do to improve your brain health. And you can also find us on our website, which is wpoptimalliving.com.
Perfect. All right, and same. So NikkiTasteLifeNutrition.com is the email. I am a functional nutritionist, so what that means is I like to dig. I like to look at the body, a little bit of a detective, right? I want to look at the body by running labs, understanding how it's functioning, why it's functioning as it is. Labs can be a little bit unique to functional medicine and functional nutrition. And so understanding how the body's functioning, gathering data is what I love. And then with that, I can share the data with clients to help them understand what we can do to help them to optimize. So whether it's, somebody looking for hormonal balance, fertility, if there's some GI dysfunction, what's creating the GI dysfunction, even if it's anxiety, depression, brain fog, things like that, that can all come from the gut. It can also all come from the brain. It can come from both. So this is why we work. This is why we make a good team. But I think if you don't know, I also work with dogs. Big proponent of raw feeding for dogs. Understanding that human food is not human. Food is not human food. It's food. And all animals deserve to have the food that they were meant to eat, that God created them to eat. So whether it's cows are designed to eat grass and only grass, not corn. Dogs are designed to eat mostly meat, real raw meat, not cooked, not kibble. Cats are meant to eat basically only meat. And we can go down the line, but understanding what animals need and giving that to them, because especially like for cows, and I could go on a soapbox, and you'll get this maybe in the course, I don't know. But things, animals like cows, who are a food source for us, we were put here to manage, to care for, to take care of them while they're here, and not to give them a terrible life while they're here, which is what's happening in conventional agriculture, in conventional farming, is we have these poor animals who are terribly mistreated, and they're not given the foods that they're supposed to eat, which in turn does not feed us. Doesn't feed us well to eat a sick animal, and that's what happens. So, taking care of them and serving them while they're here, because in the end, many of them serve us. And then we have our dog friends or family members who are there. They give us so much, and we want them to be here as long as we can. And unintentionally, by many of us, by feeding them the way that we feed them, we're shortening their life. And we're talking about epigenetics. We're changing their epigenetics, which is also shortening their lives. They should live to be 25 to 30 years old. And these days we're like, oh, he's 10 years old, he's old. We need to get that out of our head. I'll stop now. I could just keep going. So, Taste Life.
I could feel the passion.
I know. It's too much. It's too much sometimes. Yeah. But it's fun. So tastelifenutrition.com is the website. It's also the Instagram, the Facebook. It's all of the things. So feel free to reach out. We will post the link in this feed, as well as it will be all over as soon as it's available, hopefully sooner in the next few days at the latest. So thank you as always, and you will be here next week, right? Is
yes,
it next week?
We're here tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
Yes.
Sorry,
yes.
Tomorrow. And then so I guess then we'll both then see you in another 2 weeks.
Yep, exactly.
All right, thanks everybody. Have an amazing Labor Day weekend.
Yes,
I can't believe it. Yeah, have fun. We are heading to Utah, to Zion.
Oh,
Super
nice.
stoked. So, all right, everybody have a good one. We'll see you later. Bye.